Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun Review Podcast. This is episode 71. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for a broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This week, I have with me a very new guest. A listener has joined us on the show. John, thank you very much for joining us this week.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and then we have tried and true TJ. Thanks for joining me. It's good to
Hey
see you
Ryan,
again.
you too. How you doing?
Oh, not bad. Not really done anything gun related in the last week, unfortunately. So I've got nothing fun to share. Although I do have a desk that's probably got about 4 pistols on it, so that's good.
Are they new pistols?
No, they're older pistols. So I've got a 1911, I've got a Glock 17, and I've got a M&P compact.
Nice.
So it's going to be part of my review this week. What did you guys do in guns?
John, you
TJ, you
good?
want to go? I got did a lot of shooting. It may be -5 up here, but never too cold to shoot. Um, and had a couple AR builds been working on.
What kind of builds you working on?
Uh, got a nice lightweight build from one of my buddies. Um, that I've been working on in my shop, and then modifying mine, of course.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've just been kind of making arrangements for trying to see about going to NRA I'm not even entirely sure when that is, but I know it's coming up, so I'm just trying to make arrangements to go there and bring all the listeners something to drool over, I suppose.
Sweet. Try and bring us back as much free swag as you can.
Yeah, I'll have to do that.
Yeah.
April 10th is the date for that.
So in announcements, of course, guests are always welcome. So just like John here, you can come on the show and review your own product, gun or gear or otherwise, and then you can join us on the conversation when we talk about new products for that week, or at least new to us. So if you're interested in that, send an email to cross@firearmsradio.tv, and I'll get right back to you. Also, the Facebook giveaway, we are at this moment 7 likes from giving away 2 SHOT Show 2015 swag packages. So we've got 493 likes. As soon as we hit 500, I'll be picking 2 very lucky Facebook fans to win some swag packages. So we got some hats, packages, pins. I've even throwing in some small samples of AR-15 steel. They're cut into diamonds that you can hang up and shoot with your whatever you like, because it's free steel. And the post office flat rate box is going to be a little heavy. So let's get right into the new product spotlight. And this week, first up, we're talking about the automatic holster, which looks to be from Spain. And I know that everyone's going to have some very special things to say about it.
Yeah,
So,
you wanna
TJ, why don't you explain to the listeners what's so special about this holster?
Okay, well this they call it an automatic holster. They just kind of abbreviate it everywhere. All their models are AH for automatic holster, obviously. And what it kind of seems to be is it's a like an injection molded type holster with a, I think it's got a paddle, or I'm not sure if it's changeable. Like some of them have the paddle and the belt loops. The only one I'm seeing right now is the belt loops, but it's like a duty style holster, I guess you could say, where it holds it kind of far off the body and a little lower than most holsters. And the unique feature, I suppose, is that it helps you uh, I guess, load around into the chamber while it's holstered. So you would grab your gun into a firing grip and push downward, which it holds the slide while the rest of the gun goes down, loading around into the chamber. So basically, it's a way to carry without a round in the chamber, but still be able to, I guess, manipulate it quickly or relatively quickly to get it into action. And then it also has this hood type deal. If anybody's familiar with ALS, the Safariland type holsters, where it has the hood that goes over the back of the gun. It's got one of those that it seems from the downward motion, it looks like, I guess, your thumb kind of hits a little paddle that knocks that out of the way. So that's one more retention system. But so I guess that's basically the gist of it. It looks like they have it in a ton of different models for different guns. And let's see, it's in euros, and I know you converted it for us a little while ago, but I forgot. Let's see, it's about
So
$83, 83 US dollars.
yeah,
And
so that's 75 euros.
yeah, so yeah, I don't see this as being too good of an idea because I just think it's one more thing to go wrong whenever you have a round not in the chamber. I'm a very strong advocate of carrying with a round in the chamber, especially if you're a police officer or the kind of market they're shooting this towards.
Yeah, it creates bad
Well, I
habits,
think
that's for sure.
go ahead, John.
I say it's definitely gonna create some bad habits for people. They ever change
Yeah,
Well,
holsters?
I think it's good that everyone keeps in mind that there's some countries over in Europe that, well, you can't carry with a round in the chamber. And I was reading some reasons why. There's a lot of like non-US commercial grade pistol manufacturers over there that were producing some firearms that were not really safe, like service firearms that would go off if you dropped them on the ground or shook them. So they weren't like the greatest quality and reliability in the world. So I guess there's some laws on the books in some countries that you cannot carry with a round in the tube. So this would be a way to kind of speed up the um, the drawing of the gun and getting it ready for use. You're not carrying one in the chamber, so you're abiding by the law, but it also gives you a speedy way to get one in the chamber and draw with kind of a fluid motion that's kind of 2 points.
yeah,
So,
and
I mean, I think a lot of people are thinking this is being marketed to the U.S., and so they're slamming it right off the bat because everyone who conceals carries knows that the faster you get comfortable with carrying one in the tube, I forget what color condition you call that, condition yellow or orange or whatever. I'm sure TJ knows.
it's actually condition one, so it's none of those.
Oh, well, thank you. So obviously we all know that that's the best way to be ready because you know your gun's not going to go off because it's a good commercially made firearm. It's not going to go off without anything in the trigger guard. Um, so
Right.
we all like to carry with one in the tube so we can be fast to respond.
Yeah, one of the something I saw recently, it was a video of one of the, I forget who it was, but it was one of the larger known YouTube names. They're talking about carrying without a round in the chamber. Sometimes it's more necessary, I suppose, if they're I guess they kind of equated it, if you're in like tight packed security type situations, it might be a little bit better not to carry with one in the chamber in case somebody gets a hold of your gun, which I could see certain situations, or like you said, laws. And in those regards, I think it would be a pretty good option because you'll be able to, if somebody's attacking you, say with a knife, and you have to throw your non-dominant hand up to try to block that. Well, you can't chamber around if you have to use two hands to do it. So this would be a pretty good option for that.
Yeah,
But
I
I
definitely
think
agree with that.
a downside though is looking at these pictures. This thing does not seem to be incredibly sturdy. It looks like the kind of the belt attachment only has two screws holding it onto the holster body itself, and it seems like that would be a pretty weak point in this system.
Yeah, it's got that main screw, and then it's
Hmm.
got that secondary screw that there's several. It's almost like radius holes that you can adjust the cant.
Yeah,
But yeah, I agree. It doesn't look very sturdy.
right. So maybe it'd be a good option if they change that up a little bit, give a little wider surface area on there. Oh, it looks like you can change the ride height also. So that's a It's a cool feature. You can change the height and the cant of it. Um, Also, I guess one of my first concerns with this, whenever I first looked at it, watched some of the videos, um, I was thinking, what if you did have a round in the chamber? You know, like Murphy's Law, everything's going to go wrong whenever you don't need it to. If you had a round in the chamber, I was thinking it could get uh, obstructed inside this holster and jam your gun up on the draw. But it looks like they actually thought of that, and they made, like, I suppose, an ejection port on the holster itself. So if you do happen to have a round in the chamber and try to rechamber it, it's just going to kick that one round out and not jam up your gun. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I also saw that they have a model, um, and that was meant for kind of the same theory, but for
Hmm.
guns that had like a flashlight or laser on the rail forward of the trigger guard. So it actually held the slide and everything else was exposed. And being that you're not carrying one in the chamber, it didn't have anything covering up the trigger guard. So it looked really bare, like almost like a just a regular loose pistol hanging off your side with something kydex over the slide. I think they call it the lightning.
Yeah, I think, is that the one you
So you
kind of
can,
push through rather than pushing down and then pulling back up?
yeah,
Yeah, the one Ryan's talking about, they always seem to have it angled to where, like, the butt of the gun is facing uh downward toward the back of you, I guess. Not down down, but I guess the rather than the muzzle being tilted towards the back of you, it's tilted towards the front of you. So what you do is you get your firing grip and you just push down and push it through the holster, and that racks around in the chamber that way. I didn't look at that one too much. I don't see the product on their
yeah.
page.
Yeah, I'm looking for it too.
Uh, I mean, do you guys know if there's any states in the U.S. that, you know, tell you what if you can or can't carry inside the tube?
I believe Utah has a law. I'm not entirely sure if it is Utah, but I think so. If you're open carrying, you have to carry with an empty chamber. But if you're concealed
Okay.
carrying, you can carry loaded and everything. It might not be Utah. It might be one of the states around there, but I do know that
Yeah.
of at least that one. So I guess it could be okay in that situation if you're not going to conceal carry. Obviously, you'd want to test it and make sure this thing's not going to break off of the belt part.
The last thing you want is to be in a panic and then try to use it and it comes off with you. With the gun.
Right.
Where you, I mean, it looks like watching the videos, the range of motion is kind of interesting because obviously if you have like a long torso and shorter arms, um, it's going to be a little bit difficult because you have to uh, grab the grip and then push down to rack, and then they kind of bring it downward and forward. So they've got these comparison videos showing the shot times between drawing from their automatic holster and then drawing from like a standard holster and then racking one into the chamber and shooting. And I think it's a little exaggerated for just the marketing of their own product because it seems like the guy that was, drawing from the holster and then racking it was kind of being a little bit more deliberately slow and not exactly like, as direct as what you'd see some other trainers instructing. So
Yeah, I'll have to agree
I
with you
wouldn't
because it looked
base everything. Go ahead.
yeah it looked like the guy that was carrying in a standard holster. They did a slow-mo version of it to show you side by side, and I think the one drawing from this holster got a round off before the other guy even got his hand onto the gun of the standard holster, so it was obviously a little skewed in that respect. So I think the interesting
Uh,
the more important time would be from whenever you get an actual grip on the gun to the first round fired versus whenever the timer goes off to the first round fired.
yeah.
Um,
The model I was speaking of about earlier is called the Thunder model. And so that literally just covers the slide. It still has a hood that goes over the back, but the trigger guard is fully exposed with the trigger. It's very scary looking at it because I'm thinking, shouldn't a holster cover that?
Yeah, I guess in our thinking, uh, it's pretty hard to get away from not covering the trigger guard, but I guess they're marketing it towards you don't really need to cover that, especially I guess especially being that they're showing it a lot with a Glock, and a Glock if you have an empty chamber and you have the trigger back, you can't pull the trigger anyways. So I guess maybe that's why they designed it in such that way. Also, if anybody's having trouble visualizing what I guess the draw strokes, we have a video in the show notes if you want to go take a look at that. It's from the Automatic Holster Company, so you can see all the comparisons and such from them.
Yeah, I definitely see this being more drawn toward maybe law enforcement, where the fear of a close encounter where they get your firearm out of the holster, or they at least they're within reach. Whether you're in a hallway, standing, sitting, or if you're in your vehicle and somehow still someone manages to get a hold of your firearm, um, them not being able to reach that like thumb lever on the inside to release that hood. It's kind of like a that built-in retention security, kind of like with what was it, the Serpas, or
Mhm.
what was Blackhawks
Yeah.
It's
police
the
grade?
Serpa.
Yeah, the Serpa. So, uh, John, do you have any more thoughts on this?
One thing I'm thinking would be good for is like somebody that only has one arm if you're disabled and stuff like that. Because you can do the whole rack the slide using the sights on your belt, but this would be a whole lot easier to do.
Yeah, that's actually a great addition, actually. My sister doesn't have fingers on one hand, and you just mentioning that, this would be great for her. If she didn't feel comfortable carrying with one in the tube, this would be a great way to carry and then be able to manipulate the slide without having to use her other hand. Although I'm almost very positive that she could if she put her mind to it, because she's very adept at using, uh, especially when she's angry and she wants to hit you with it.
Ryan, is this the same sister that bow hunts?
Yes, also the same one that was a pitcher in high school and college, as well as basketball player.
Yeah,
You wouldn't know it.
seems pretty adaptable then, huh?
Yeah, and trust me, I've seen that thing go through a window. She's pretty awesome when she can do anything that she wants to. Anywho, if you're interested in checking out the automatic holster, go to their website at www.automatichuholster.com.
Oh, one thing, just real quick before we get off the subject, they do have models for let's see, they have the Glock, Beretta, and the HK USP Compact. But a lot of times, a lot of holsters you can buy a Glock 17 size holster and put the 19 or the 26. You can put everything smaller in it. You wouldn't be able to necessarily do that with this holster because it relies on the length of the holster itself to catch the I guess catch the dust cover in the front. To hold it in place while you rack the slide. Or I guess it catches the barrel. Yeah. So the length is more critical than it would be on a regular holster. So that's just one, I guess, added thing to think about.
Yep, very good point. So next up this week, we're going to be talking about a new polymer pistol to the market. This is something from Beretta. It's called the APX. So actually, TJ, you sent this to me. Um, Obviously, it's a entry to the market that competes with Glock, Springfield XD, XDMs, XDSs, Smith & Wesson M&Ps, HK VP9. The list goes on and on. So, well, what has Beretta brought to the table that's a little bit unique that might give them an edge?
Yeah, this seems to be like more, I guess, a Glock 17 size, full size carry gun with a believe it's a 4.5 inch barrel, and I don't know. Everything's in millimeters, so I'm having a hard time converting. But so it's definitely a duty size handgun, polymer. Um, it's got a reversible magazine release, which seems to be a lot of people are doing these days when they're coming out with new guns. It's obviously, like Ryan said, polymer. It's a Beretta. It seems to have a bunch of standard features that other ones do, but it definitely looks a whole heck of a lot different than we're used to seeing with Glocks and such. It's pretty. I think it's pretty cool. It's got a cool looking. It's got a pretty good looking design, and looking at just looking at the pictures, it actually looks like the bore axis might be a little lower than some of the other pistols on the market, which is pretty cool. It's got let's see, standard 3-dot sights. It's got like a grooved finger rest, I suppose, similar to. I'm trying to think who else does that. I think M&P has like a little stippled dimple in front of the right above the trigger guard for you to rest your finger when you're not in the trigger guard. It's got one of those. It's got the Glock style trigger safety and replaceable back straps. And I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is the slide serrations. They look pretty aggressive, but at the same time, I could see where they could be if they're machined just a little too smooth. I guess you could say you might run into some slippage issues. It'd be pretty cool to get my hands on it and see if those are actually really positive, because the serrations basically run up the entire slide, but they're not so close together like we're used to seeing on, say, a Glock, where they're, you have a bunch real close together. This one only has, what looks like about 7 serrations down the entire length of the slide, but they're wider apart, maybe a quarter inch apart or so. So I think it looks pretty neat. No wonder. Hopefully it's functional.
Yeah, I'm wondering with the serrations placed so far apart, if it's cut deep enough. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you're definitely going to get a hold of that, but if you're not wearing gloves, I think eventually you're going to start digging through your skin.
Yeah, they're
Clearing.
definitely. There's a lot of room in between them to get a lot of meat between the serrations. But I agree with you. It depends on how sharp they're cut. They could be too sharp to where you're taking material off your hands, or too. Uh, I guess if they radius those machine cuts a little too much, it'd be possibly slippery. It's hard to know without getting your hands on them.
Yeah, it kind of looks like an M&P and a Walter had a baby.
Yeah, it's definitely.
That's what I get when looking at it.
Yeah, it's definitely new. Like it doesn't look too much like anything. So I think they're definitely thinking out of the box whenever they did this. It looks like, I'm not sure, I'm not seeing where they mentioned it, but it looks like it might have an ambidextrous slide catch, which is pretty cool.
I think it does.
The mag release is not, but it is reversible, so you can swap it to either side. But it doesn't. It doesn't. It appears that the slide catch itself is ambi. Oh, we didn't mention it's going to be available in the 9, 40, and 9x21 IMI. So they got three different options. The standard capacities are 17, 15, and 15 respectively. I think the 9x21, is that the 40 that's neck down to 9? Is that what that is?
I'm not sure.
Let me look that up real quick. But
Of course, it
Mention
does
it
have
does.
the choice of 3 grips or back straps, just like
yeah,
almost every other polymer pistol that comes to the market. It does have a Picatinny rail molded into the plastic forward of the trigger guard. The interesting part is the trigger guard is actually fully flat. They say for accessory mounting, but you see how like this M&P has a rounded trigger guard, and of course everyone knows that the Glocks are somewhat flat, but they've got like a little lip at the bottom.
they're kind of round.
This is actually a little bit more Glock-like, but much more flat. So I don't know, aesthetically, they might have done that so it's just more universal for whatever lights or lasers you want to put on there.
I think it might just allow you to get your accessory a little closer to the trigger, I suppose, if you need to. Also, I guess it's kind of lending toward like the 92, where you have that little lip to rest your finger on, as some people do. Your offside trigger finger. Some people rest their finger there. John, you were about to say something a second ago.
Yeah, it does appear to have the ambidextrous slide release.
Okay.
If you look at, there is some photos with both sides on it.
Okay. Yeah, the 9x21 is not that necked cartridge. It's just a longer. It's an elongated 9 millimeter.
And then the sights are just standard 3-dot sights.
All right. They look like they might be adjustable from the picture, just based on the
Yeah, they
picture.
almost look like
It's got like a
dovetail.
little it's got like a little dot in there that might be some kind of adjustment screw, but it's hard to tell. The standard, I think I mentioned the standard capacity is 17 for the 9 and 15 for the 40. I would imagine, I know this is their kind of introduction, but I imagine there would be uh, different sizes coming pretty soon after. One thing I noticed in the picture, if you look right behind the slide release on the left side, as if you're looking down the barrel, there's a little notch kind of cut in there, and it looks like it might be that would be where the serial number is. I'm thinking. So I'm thinking maybe they did something similar to what SIG did on their 250 and their 320, where they have that internal, uh, I forget what they call it, kind of fire control unit, I believe is what SIG calls it, to where you can just pull that out and put it in any other size frame. So I'm wondering if they're going for like that modularity that SIG did, using that design. If that's what that is, that's just speculation. But I'd be pretty interested to see if they do go with that, where you could buy like the full size pistol and then buy the compact kit and just swap it out for cheaper, rather than buying two pistols.
So there's no mention of the MSRP quite yet, but they do say that they hope that it has a aggressive price versus performance ratio.
Hmm.
So take
It's good
that
to
as you
hear. I
will.
imagine it for them to market it out. I imagine it'd have to be pretty competitive with the Glock and M&P and XD lines.
So if you're interested in that, we have a couple links in the show notes to some of the news releases on other websites. So we got the link for bearingarms.com, and I think guns.com had an article as well. So
Yeah,
it looks like the picture we were looking at was bitone with a stainless slide, and one of the other photos I found looked like it had a treated slide that was all black. So looks like there might be a couple different options there.
yeah. I'm not actually sure if we mentioned the name. They're calling it the APX, which I guess kind of continuing from the ARX line, just kind of keeping the same naming.
Oh, that makes sense. So next up, we have the conversion kit for your shotguns in order to make them mag fed. So instead of going out and getting one of those like new receivers that are kind of milled out and machined to accept Sega mags, what this does is replace your magazine tube with kind of a tactical mold that accepts the company's own magazines. So it's from Adaptive Tactical, and they call it the Sidewinder Venom Shotgun Magazine Conversion Kit. So there's 5-round box magazines as well as 10-round, and they do also have 10-round rotary mags that are kind of like a drum, but they kind of go off to one side, and they are rotary, so that helps, and so you don't have a big long magazine hanging down off the bottom of your gun. But what this looks to accomplish is that you can essentially modify your own shotgun as long as you know how to disassemble it without making any permanent modification. So it looks like the kits are available for Mossberg's 590 series, 500, and the 88s, the Mavericks. So 12 gauge shotguns configured with a 5 to 6 shot magazine tube and 8.5-inch barrels. Have you guys gotten to take a look at this?
Yeah, I think to help draw a picture a little bit, what it does is it places a magazine not, I guess, where it would seem to flow. It doesn't place it right under the ejection port to where I guess it would look natural, but it places it directly in front of the receiver on the magazine tube. I think you replace the magazine tube, and then that has like a mag well in there, and it comes with an all completely new pump and everything, pump handle and everything. So you I guess to work around, make sure everything interfaces with it. But the uh, fore-end that they have kind of has a riser with a Picatinny mount on the top, which I think kind of makes it a little bulky because it kind of looks like a Starship Troopers-esque, like that big bulky fore-end on there. And one of the pictures actually has a light mounted on the top of that, which seems like it would kind of get in the way of your sight picture. But I guess to each his own. But it also has two shorter Picatinny rails on either side of it that you could use for mounting options like a light and laser and such.
Yeah, so that rail, it kind of acts sort of like an aperture, I guess. Well, you're still able to look down your barrel and at
Yeah.
your front bead through this this polymer pump that wraps around the barrel to a rail on top. So it is very tactical for the sake of being tactical. You want to put a light or a rail up there, obviously, but understand that that's the pump and it's going to be reciprocating. So,
All right.
if you have a laser, that's going to be reciprocating every time you pump. Um, I'm not sure if I would use this for accuracy. It looks like more of a shoot from the hip type deal. But they do offer a couple different configurations. So if you're
Okay.
not all about that plastic rail at the top, you can actually get it without it. I saw they had a kit that was just the pump and the magazine tube and a 5 round box kit, and that's actually the lowest cost. So the MSRP on that is $199.99. So they call that. They've got one for the 500 and for the 590. The other kits are more expensive, that have that extra rail at the top. They call it the Raptor, so like Wrap WRAP, but Raptor, and that starts at looks like 269, and that's with the rotary mag.
Okay. Yeah.
With the 10 round box, that looks to be 229.99.
I was actually
What do
pretty
you guys
glad.
think?
I was pretty glad to see that option with the slimmer handguard because I think that, like you said, extra tactical handguard might. I imagine a lot of people would buy it, but I also imagine a lot of people would not, just because it's so bulky and tactical, like you said. Um,
What if I want my shotgun to look like it came out of Halo?
well, then
That's
buy
what it
that.
does look like.
But I definitely,
It also looks like the. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like that they have the different size mag options, but to me it almost seems a little pointless to buy the 5 round mag option if you're gonna be swapping out a 5 round mag um, shotgun. But I guess that's just one more option, I suppose.
You mean instead of having a 5 round tube, having a 5 round box magazine?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. It does look like they have a couple different color options. At least for the magazines, they've got black, ATAX, which is my personal favorite, multicam, and tiger stripe desert digital. So the magazines aren't really cheap by themselves. Looks like for just the black, it's $35 for a 5 round box mag, and if you want the camouflage, it's going to be $55. Um, and then
Yeah,
I'll look that up, but the 10 rounders are no undoubtedly
the 10 rounders
higher
are
priced.
50 for the box and 90 for the rotary
Ouch.
Yeah,
10
and the
rounders.
The rotaries, $90 for black and $110 for a camouflage. So they're basically charging you an extra $20 for the camo dip.
Yeah.
So I think that if you were into three gun and you didn't already have some kind of semi-automatic shotgun, this would kind of help for changing out mags during stages because that's actually where you lose, or the most time is eaten up with you loading singly shotgun shells into your shotgun on the shotgun stage.
Yeah, I've heard
So
plenty
by
of
being
people
able
say
to
that.
swap out that drop, that box magazine would definitely help you save some time.
Yeah, I've definitely heard people say plenty of matches are won and lost in the shotgun
Hmm.
stage. So that would be pretty useful in that regard. Now, did you happen to notice if it'll take 3-inch shells or only 2 3/4?
I only see a 2 3/4 option.
Okay, so that's a little. But I guess if you're using it for like a tactical situation, most people aren't going to be shooting 3-inch geese loads at it, for home defense. So I guess that's not too much of a hindrance.
Yeah, and most states won't let you shoot with won't let you duck hunt or upland bird hunt with a shotgun that holds more than what, 4 rounds.
Yeah, you're right.
See, I'd love to use this for shooting clays out back.
I'd love to use this when a big old flock of mallards comes into the blind, but yeah.
You need one of those big long tubes that Jerry Mikulik has that holds something like 18 rounds in a. You just take them all out with a
The second I
semi-auto.
step out of the truck with the thing, I know that the game warden would show up.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
You could put that all the hand attachment like on the Mossberg 500 chainsaw, so you can hip fire it better.
Yeah, that's
There
a
you go.
it's an interesting feature. I guess they have this little foregrip that looks like it screws on to the fore end, and I know on the standard model, the one without the top rail, it looks like it's got at least 3 mounting positions to where you could mount it on the bottom, more like the maybe like the 8 o'clock and then the 4 o'clock position. It looks like so. If you want to kind of put it going out to the side versus directly below it, you could do that. But it doesn't look like it mounts. Unless it's just this picture, it doesn't look like that screw is very long, so I'd imagine that might be prone to breakage, but that's just speculation, of
Yeah.
course.
And they also have a kit that comes with a stock. It's a pistol grip stock with a kind of a very tactical. They call it M4 style stock. So obviously it's adjustable with I'm assuming it's 6 position. They call it the EX Performance Adjustable M4 style stock with pistol grip, easy to reach adjusting lever, just like a standard M4 stock on an AR-15. It has a QD swivel molded in, and it's a non-rust standard sling swivel attachment. It's made out of the same polymer with a non-slip vented rubber recoil pad. It does look like it would definitely soak up some recoil on there. But if you want the whole kit, you want your shotgun to have the stock, the fore end, either the Raptor or just the regular tube, and a 10-round box magazine. The prices are for black, $300. For camouflage dip, $340.
Yeah, the noticing this stock actually it kind of helps. Something I was thinking about earlier. Whenever I first saw this, it brought to mind a uh, similar, and now that I'm looking at it, probably identical product that was discontinued a few years ago. Uh, the I'm looking at Midway USA, and they're saying this Knox Sidewinder Shotgun Conversion Kit, which is the same name, just under Adaptive Tactical instead of Knox. And it looks like something that was uh, marketed a while back and for whatever reason discontinued. But looking at the stock that they have on their product page, it looks like one of the Knox stocks, the recoil reducing stocks. So I'm thinking maybe there's some intermingling of companies going on there. Maybe some shareholder sale, kind of, sold certain parts or whatever's going on. So I think it might be an older company that's just kind of reintroducing this product. It's kind of an interesting note, I guess.
Yeah. So everything I've seen, it looks like the regular end user should be able to do all the installation. I think it does come with some emery cloth in case some slight light sanding needs to be done to make sure that if there's some tight tolerances, is to loosen that up a little bit,
Okay. Yeah,
depending on
the
which shot you have.
having experience taking a Mossberg magazine tube off of a receiver before, it was a little difficult to do because I think they use some kind of like not permanent, but some kind of bonding agent to get it to stay inside the receiver. So what I had to do, I'm not saying necessarily this is how you should do it because I don't want you to break your gun and blame it on me. But if you do have to remove the magazine tube, what I did is I heated it with a torch very lightly. I didn't, not like a cutting torch, just a propane torch, just to warm the glue to get it to break its bond, and then screwed it off with a wrench. You also have to be careful not to crush the tube because that can happen too. So it should be easy to install so long as you have that right equipment.
Don't
And
use a pipe wrench.
yeah, don't use a pipe wrench. They sell things called strap wrenches. Those are pretty useful.
Right on. So if you guys are interested in that, go on to adaptivetactical.com, and then you can look under products, and it's all their Sidewinder, Venom, shotgun magazine conversion kits. So it looks like Mossberg owners are getting all the love. It looks like Remington owners are actually left out on this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious why that is, but I think Remington makes their tubes a little more permanent. So I guess maybe it wouldn't be user modifiable at that point. So maybe that's why they're just staying away from the Remington. I imagine it would be simple enough to make one. They would just have to be user install, and I think it might be harder that because I have tried to take a Remington tube off before and did not have as success as I did with the Mossberg.
Right on. So let's get right into the main topic, the panel discussion of firearms insider reviews. And John brought a review for the show this week. But John, I'm going to give you the option. Would you like me to do my review first, and then that might, I don't know, make you more comfortable, or would you rather just
Sure,
just
you can
gun
do
ho and do
yours.
your review right now?
I'll let the master go first.
Oh, let me know when he shows up.
Master Ryan.
So I'm reviewing today the MT chamber flag. So we met the owner or the founder of the company a little bit ago. So he sent us these for T&E. So they are brightly colored, kind of a like cherry apple red, very bright red. They're plastic. Um, they're chamber flags. They're a little bit different than what you're used to seeing. If you're like me and you've got the chamber flag that came with my AR-15, it's just this yellow, and then this is a chamber flag that came with my Smith & Wesson M&P. It's orange and it's much smaller. You notice that the actual flag portion is very stubby and small, and at least it's a little bit larger on the AR-15 version. But you can see they don't stick out very far. So the empty chamber has the flag much longer that protrudes out of the firearm, so it's easily identifiable from on the across the shooting benches. If you're an RO, you can see verify that everyone's clear. If you own a a gun store or some kind of sporting goods store, and you have these in all your firearms, then you know that everything is clear. Also, if you're in law enforcement, if by confiscating weapons or you're doing a traffic stop and you've taken a firearm and cleared it and set it on the hood, having some of these on you and putting it inside the chamber, it's kind of an automatic visual, so you know that yes, that is cleared. Somebody cleared it, and by inserting this in the chamber, you're guaranteed that it's not going to have a live round in the tube. So there's two versions. There's the AR-15 and 45, and there's the 380-40. So when they come in little plastic bags, they come with these business card sized cards, and they'll have the box checked off. So this is the AR-15 45 version. So you'll see that it's almost got a 45 ACP size plastic bit, and then it tapers down into a 22 caliber peg. So I'll demonstrate that. That's why I have so many guns around me right now. So this is a 1911, obviously. Everything's been cleared. But as I put this into the firearm and drop the slide, the flag sticks straight up. You could position it off to the side if you wanted to, but depending on the firearm's design, I think these flags are primarily designed to stick straight up. That way, when you're setting this on the table or on the bench, the flag's not going to be impeded or covered up or used to prop up the firearm. So let me remove it from the 1911, and I will get the AR-15. So here's my AR-15. Pull the charging handle back and then insert the chamber flag. Just like that. So once again, you can AR-15 with all of its components, a large scope, and any other flashlights or offset sights, things that could obscure a chamber flag that's only this big. You have a much larger, more highly visible chamber flag. So the principle all about this is the safety of it. Highly visible from across the room, across the gun counter, across the classroom. And it's also compatible with several other calibers that aren't listed on here. I don't know why they chose not to list the other calibers it could work for, but I did some experimenting with other firearms to make sure. So here is my 9mm AR-15. So as you can see, this will not fit in there because it's got that 45 diameter, and the chamber doesn't do that. But when I take the 380-41, obviously it goes in there fine. And then I can drop the charging handle, and there you go. So it should work on basically any caliber semi-automatic firearm that has a spring that's going to be closing the slide or bolt onto the flag to hold it in place. So I've also got my AK-47 here. And one of these works very well. Obviously not the 45 one. Actually it does work, but it doesn't close completely. The nice thing, an AK-47, the barrel is like lower than where the rounds get fed from, or actually from the dust cover. So it still is long enough to protrude past that point above the dust cover and the gas block. So either one of these caliber sizes will work. The 45 did get stuck in there a little bit, so I would just stick with the 38-40 for putting into like an AK-47. So just like that. Like that, it's skeletonized.
Nice. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty
I've been working
visible.
on staying with stock, so I didn't replace the dust cover yet. What's that?
I was saying it looks like that flag's pretty visible from all angles.
Yeah, and that's kind of the main premise is that it's visible from 360 degrees. So whether you're behind the weapon on the left or right hand side, or even if you've walked down range and it's sitting on the table, you can still see those flags. So if you
Yeah.
could imagine an entire firing line where every single firearm on the bench had one of these empty chamber flags, it'd be very easy to visually inspect or visually verify from 360 degrees all the
Right.
way out to the 100-yard line. That go ahead.
Are you getting that feedback?
Yeah.
Okay. John, I think you might be trying to talk. I accidentally muted you a second ago. You're gonna have to undo that to talk. If you go up to the top of the screen, hit your little mic. There you
I
go.
got it.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Did you have a question, John?
No, no, I didn't have anything.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. How durable are those? They look like they might be a little flimsy. You might be able to break them off.
That's actually one of the cons that I have. The plastic is very feels soft. I'll go ahead and bend this, and I can start to see a little bit of discoloration as I bend it, and that tells me that if I bent it over all the way over, I would alter the integrity of the plastic. It also twists, like this. It feels about as I mean, it kind of reminds me of a the Starbucks coffee stir little plastic rod that they give you. It is thicker, but that is one thing that I would definitely suggest is if there's a way to strengthen it at all, so that when your hits in the firearm and the firearm gets dropped from the table, that this doesn't get snapped or permanently ruined. The other thing is the labeling that's in the molding. It obviously has the logo on the front. On the back, it has the website. And then on the stick, it has the number of both. And then on the back, it says Made in USA on the stick. Nowhere on the actual flag does it mention the caliber. So that would be really nice to have some kind of indication. I can visually obviously know which one's the 380, 40, and the 45 AR-15 or the 223. But it'd be nice if they had that much larger instead of having the website and the logo on both sides. Maybe having calibers on one side. So the website is mtchamber.com. So it's the letter M, letter T, chamber.com. So the I guess the target audience would be like law enforcement departments, teachers, instructors, as well as gun store owners and operators, as well as private use. As far as the pricing goes, there's the 380 40. Hold on, I'm getting some feedback on my end. The 380 40 chamber block, and it looks like they are available in different colors, is $3.95 a piece, and the AR-15 45 chamber block is $3.95 a piece. So the same price for either. Getting a considerable amount of feedback. I'm sorry, guys.
Actually, that flexibility might not be too bad of a thing. So that way it doesn't just snap if you drop your gun.
Yeah, I imagine it'd probably be pretty good to keep you, if you set it down, ejection port side down, like if you have it in a rifle where it sticks out to the right side and you put it with the right side down, rather than just breaking off, it'll just kind of bend that way. And I imagine it's flexible enough to kind of return to its shape after a few minutes of sitting there, not without any pressure on it. So probably would be a pretty good thing to be flexible rather than too rigid. Ryan, you trying to work out your bug? Okay. Now it looks like I'm not entirely sure, but the MT. Never mind. Just forget that. I was trying to find it. Just tried Googling it and it didn't come up through a search to their website, but I found it on the Diamondback Firearms website. I guess they sell them through their website, so I guess just an alternate way to find them.
Yeah, Google doesn't seem to like them, so
Yeah,
there it is.
I guess it was coming up with a bunch of Montana results.
Mm-hmm.
How much did he say they were? I missed that. The pricing.
It says around $3. I just saw
Order form. Here we go.
one for $2 actually.
Yeah, I know on the let's see, $3.95 a piece, but on the Diamondback website they actually had them for $3.95 for a pair. So that's a
That's not
pretty
bad.
big difference there.
Say
Can you guys hear me?
stuffs.com.
Yeah.
Much better.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to leave any of that other stuff in, but we're just
Did
kind of
not work
chatting
out.
about it. Yeah, what was going on?
I don't know. It just started picking up lots of feedback. Anyway, so back to the review. So obviously, the features and benefits of each one is very simple. You've got multi-caliber capability with these two versions, and then the 360-degree view. As far as the color options available, I'm not sure what those are. I don't see them on their website. How to order, they have a page on their, or a link on their main navigation that says order form. You click on that and it opens up a PDF and you just enter in the quantity you want of either the 380-40, the AR-15, 45, or any number of their other items they have for sale. And then you just put in your name, address, phone number, and email, and then it looks like you just send off that PDF to them. They do have wholesale pricing and volume discounts per request. So obviously, if you are a gun store or a law enforcement department or a range and you want to purchase a large quantity of these for use, you could negotiate some sort of or ask for a volume discount for that.
Yeah, I was just thinking a minute ago. I was trying to find it before you had mentioned the website. I was trying to find it, and the only thing that I could find just from googling it was the Diamondback Firearms that make the DB9 and the DB380. It looks like they sell them on their site, and they're $6 for a pair or $5.95 for a pair. So you can get a little bit of a discount if you go through there.
Oh, there you go. Thanks for finding that.
Still don't know how you get multiple colors.
Yeah, so right now it looks like these are red, but on their website I'm seeing some orange. It's kind of more of a blaze hunter orange. I'm not sure what other colors are available, but you could definitely ask for that when you're trying to contact them. As for the rating, I'm going to give this a 6.5 as good. I think that it is what it is. It's a chamber flag. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give it a 7 because I think that it's compared to other chamber flags in the market, usually the ones that come with the manufacturer's firearms. It's a vast improvement as far as safety-wise and visibility. I just think that can be improved with, like I mentioned before, strengthening the polymer a little bit or the plastic so that it's not so fail. I mean, if you're going to pay between $3 and $3.50 for an item that's just molded plastic, I definitely want it to hold up for a few years. Also, I'm just throwing money out the window. It is nice that they have these kind of finger grooves. It almost feels like a parachute pull cord. So this is to help you get it in and out of your chamber without trying to hold it delicately between your fingers. You know, you just kind of put your index and middle finger over there, and you've got kind of a nice way to insert and pull that out. So I was just going to drop it into some pistols I have here. This is a M&P compact. It's in 40 right now. So you just drop the slide on that, and it fits really nicely in the slides design. Sticks straight up. It's nice and firm in there. Obviously a Glock 19, 17. This is a 19. It goes just like that. Really nice. And then you put it off. Still use the 380, 40 for 45 ACP 1911s, but I'll just stick to 45 and the 1911. So really easy to use, really easy to take out of the firearm. So it's a pretty simple product, probably one of the more simple products that I've reviewed. But I think there's definitely a couple strengths and weaknesses that can be ironed out in the future. So that is my review.
Awesome.
So John, why don't you tell us what you brought for us this week?
Yes, I've got the Tipton Best Gun Vise. My particular one is actually the limited edition. Not quite sure what makes them any different, but they thought it was special enough to throw another name on it. It's a gun vise. You can use it for your bolt action rifle, your shotguns, your ARs, even your 1911s. Makes it so you can clamp it in there. So it's a lot easier to work on. Don't have to hold it and juggle it with your hands. So with it, you actually see that you've got clamps that you can use to lock in your rifle. That makes it real nice, so that way you don't have to worry about it sliding around when you're running those brushes through the bore. And then it's completely adjustable for your different rifles, so you can move everything around. It is made out of plastic, which is one of the downfalls and positives at the same time. Is it's going to resist all solvents, so you're not going to worry about that. But it can be a little flimsy. It has a metal rail in the center that everything slides up and down on, so that way you can adjust it to fit your particular rifle. And you can fit an AR on it. I don't. I have a different dedicated vise that I use for that. You can find them Bass Pro Shop, Amazon. I actually picked mine up at Bass Pro for $60. Normally they're $119.99 at Bass Pro. MSRP is $144.99. Amazon has them for $73.99. It comes in white. They call it white and black or white and red. It's actually more of a gray. A lot of people, I noticed a lot of reviews, people really like them. A lot of people say that they're really flimsy. Where I get that is when I go to lock in my rifle or any of the guns. To get it tight enough that it doesn't move around, it bows out the block that it locks into. They're usually available in all your stores. It's pros for me. It is adjustable. It's lightweight, easy to store. I keep it under my bench so that way I can use my bench tops. It is solvent resistant. We all get a little sloppy with our solvents here and there. But cons, it is a little flimsy. The plastic tabs can come out of the track when you're moving stuff around. And it can be a pain to get it assembled to try to hold some of the nuts in the awkward spots. But overall, I really love it. I would never want to go back to how I used to do all my cleanings. And I actually give it a 7.5. It's got some room for improvement, but I'm quite happy with it.
Now the assembly you mentioned, the paint and assembly, you're talking about like the initial assembly, not for the everyday use of it.
Right, yeah, just that initial setup. Um, because when you get it on the box, nothing's you get just the base, and then all the rests are actually separate. So you would have to undo the knob, and it's got it slides through here, and they don't. If you can tell, you can't quite grab a hold of it with the knob every time. So to get it started, you have to stick a screwdriver in there to lift it on.
Okay.
Did you mention the MSRP on that?
It was $144.90. I found on the site. Usually they're much cheaper, and you can find them around $70 usually.
That's a big price jump.
Yeah, especially if you're lucky. Like I said, I found mine for $60. I
Yeah.
had to buy it as soon as I saw it for that price.
Very nice. Thank you for reviewing that. So John's review will be on the firearmsinsider.tv website. So you can go on over to firearmsinsider.tv to see his review. So next up, we've got in our Tech Gadget or App segment the Surefire 2211 Luminox Wrist Light. And I know TJ's been drooling on this, haven't you?
It's kind of a double-edged sword for me because I assume Ryan's saying that because I love flashlights, but I'm also a pretty picky watch guy, and so I'm not sure. Not saying I have super fancy watches or anything by any means, but I'm pretty picky when it comes to the size of my watches. Basically, what this is, it's a Surefire light. No, they introduced their wrist light a couple years back, I think a year or two ago, and Luminox. If anybody's familiar with Luminox, they make pretty good watches, high quality watches. Well, they take the two high quality companies and jam them into one little wrist unit, so you have a watch slash tactical light, I suppose, and that's what this thing is. But my gripe with it would be that it's kind of big for a watch, in my mind. So I personally probably wouldn't wear one of these, especially not on a regular basis, because I prefer slightly smaller watches. But based on the two companies being very good, reputable manufacturers, I imagine it's probably a really good watch slash flashlight. It's got a three output modes, 300 lumens on high, 60 on medium, and 15 on low, which is awesome. 300 lumen out of that tiny package for a light is really good. And then the watch itself has it's got the date counter, and I believe the hands are actually, they glow. I'm not entirely sure if they're like photoluminescent or if they're tritium, but I know Luminox makes some tritium watch faces, so I imagine it might actually be that. Yeah, self-illuminating dial, so it probably is the tritium illuminated. It has a built-in LED fuel gauge to let you know when the battery is low, and it's a rechargeable battery, which is another cool feature. So it charges off of a micro USB charge port, and comes with the charging cable, obviously. It just seems to have like a standard, kind of like a flexible rubber wristband to go along with it.
Yeah, I kind of expected for the price point of $795 for the wristband to be a little bit more than just a plastic wristband.
Well, you're paying for a high quality watch and a high quality light. I guess they figure they can cheap out on the wristband, because I think for $7.95 might not be a terrible price for this combination. Because I'm not entirely sure, but the Surefire wrist light, I think they call it, it was a few $100s, and the Luminoxes can be, 3 to 6 up. So I imagine. But like you said, that cheap little plastic $5 store Walmart kind of strap on it that they have is just kind of a little weird. Let's see, the
Yeah,
wrist
I
light
mean,
itself is
you can
445.
you could replace it
Before
with
the
your own strap, couldn't you?
hmm
Yeah.
I would hope so. I would
Um,
imagine you could in case it breaks. I mean, it's probably meant to be used in a more heavy duty role, I suppose. And so I'd imagine you can change your own strap out. Actually, looking at Surefire at the plain wrist light by itself without the watch, it has a completely different strap that actually looks a lot better. So I'm sure there's some way to change it out.
Yeah, and then they have a photo of a guy holding a Glock 19, and he's holding it like he's going to fire, and the light's on. It's almost alluding to the fact that if you have this on your wrist of your supporting hand, the light would illuminate what's downrange in front of your muzzle, but it looks like that light is kind of sitting at an angle to where it actually would not be pointing straight forward. You'd be illuminating what would be at your 10 o'clock position.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably got a wide enough angle to cover what's in front of you too. But I imagine that angle probably helps if you think about it. If you ball your hand into a fist, it doesn't, the top of your hand isn't generally flat with the top of your arm. It usually kind of angles a little bit. So if it was going straight forward, your hand would probably block some of the light. So they probably angled it a little bit to get a better light spread. But to go back to my size issue and the guy holding this thing, it doesn't seem to be too big on this wrist, but at the same time, his Glock 19 looks like a Ruger LCP in his hands. So I think this guy's got some pretty big mitts. So not sure exactly perspectives. It's
Yeah.
looking pretty
yeah, and that thing's
big.
pretty tall. It's almost like wearing a brick on your wrist.
Yeah, it is fairly tall. I think they specify somewhere. Its weight with batteries, it's 5 ounces. It's got a lithium-ion rechargeable battery. I like the multiple light output's pretty good, because you don't want that 300 lumens all the time if you just need it. If you're searching for something inside your car and you just need a low level, you know, 15 lumens, that's pretty good. I like that. It's a lightweight, hard anodized aerospace aluminum. Features a heavy-duty rubber wristband that holds the unit securely but comfortably in place. And so I guess they're saying it's heavy duty. Hopefully it is. It looks just kind of, like I said, a little cheap wristband, but I imagine Surefire wouldn't put anything too incredibly cheap on their products.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if only it had like a 4 gigabyte like flash drive on the inside that USB could work with, then I'd be sold.
4,
Mhm.
that's it.
Okay, 8.
I
What's the standard nowadays? 16?
don't know. I bought a 64 not too long ago, so
It changes every week, it seems.
yeah. But I would definitely be pretty interested, as Ryan was asking, if the wristband changes out, because as I mentioned, the one on the standard Surefire wrist light looks a heck of a lot better to me personally.
Yep. So if you're interested in that, there's a couple reviews on the website. If you go to surefire.com and you look under products and then under illumination, you'll see wrist lights. So some of the reviews, someone's saying that I night dive with this watch and absolutely love it, meaning that they are a diver. The light attracts a lot of sea life that makes for good fishing. I also strap the watch to my harpoon and use it as a tracer. That is pretty awesome. I've been camping several times with this watch too, and I've fastened it to tree branches and used it as a lamp. I also have used it for work too. I'm a videographer, and I keep the light on while I shoot at night. I only have two cons. One, the watch doesn't have a compass, which makes being off the grid more unpractical. And two, no infrared. That is a huge disappointment considering IR's uses. Really, we should get IR considering the price tag. So that would be if you were using night vision, it wouldn't blow out. You explain the IR capability that he was asking for.
Yeah, IR usually, like the IR lights, they're not visible to the naked eye, but if you're using night vision, you'll be able to see it. So that way, I guess if you're trying not to alert anybody of your presence, you could light it up with the IR light, and only people with their night vision on will be able to see it. So like if you're trying to, let's say like a military unit trying to sneak into a enemy compound or something, they have their lights and their night vision. It just helps. I guess it's an aid to night vision, I suppose.
Cool.
Also, IR light for whatever reason makes scorpions glow, like a photoluminescent kind of greenish glow. So if you live in the desert, IR lights can be pretty good for spotting scorpions. I've heard stories of people, in the soldiers in the Middle East using black lights and that type of IR lights for making sure they're not, laying down in their foxhole with a couple scorpions.
I think it's the camel spiders you gotta watch out for.
I don't know if they glow, but
I don't think I'd want to see one glow.
No. If it's
there
glowing, it's because it's been freshly burned.
was.
So anyway, there's no listener feedback this week. There hasn't actually been a review on our podcast since November. Actually, as the Facebook contest closes, I believe we'll probably have 500 likes by next week's episode. So I'll be announcing the winners then if we have 500 likes. But then I'll be rolling into another iTunes review giveaway. So if you review the show, I'll give you guys a time period and a cutoff date, and then at that point I'll take all the latest reviews on iTunes and choosing a winner randomly, and then they would get a really cool prize too. So stay tuned for that. We're also making sure you listen to all the other podcasts on the Firearms Radio Network, including This Week in Guns. It's a great podcast for catching up. If you're busy at working or vacation and you haven't been able to catch up on all the gun-related news from the week, so high-profile self-defense shootings, political development around the firearms industry, as well as within the industry, new products. And I think there's also in the works possibly a This Week in Guns daily small microfeed coming. So if you're interested in catching up on all of your gun news in one easy-to-listen-to podcast with some great hosts, make sure you go to www.thisweekinguns.com and listen and subscribe. And make sure you send questions or comments to myself, podcast@firearmsinsider.tv or cross@firearmsradio.tv. Remember to subscribe, and leave this podcast an iTunes review, especially if you'd like to win some awesome stuff in the future. And check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network by going to firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. And be sure to visit the Firearms Insider webpage for reviews and future industry coverage. So once again, thanks, John, for coming on the show this week. I'm really glad to have you on, and thanks for that awesome review. And then thanks, TJ, for also coming on. It's great to hear that expert opinion of yours again.
Well, as you said earlier, let me know when the expert arrives.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, have a great week. Everybody shoot safe. Have a good week, and I'll catch you on the next episode.
All right, talk to you later, Ryan.
Good night.
Yep.